when you start out, you think that they're doing you a favor by listing their property with you. Like, you don't put yourself in their shoes. You're just kind of like, what can you do for me in that sense, right? I've really learned that it's a team sport, and not just brokers and principals, everybody. Kind of viewing yourself as part of the team allows you to put yourself in the client's shoes more, and then helps you give better advice and be a better broker. And I think it's just something that takes experience. It's not rocket science, it's just perspective.
Welcome back to The Real Grind, guys, the place where we talk the most experienced real estate investors, brokers, cost aggregation, title, insurance, everybody that's gonna add something to you, a real estate professional, just enthusiast. But we talk also about best cup of
coffee.
So let's get that show started because we have an amazing guest today. He is here, he's about to come up in a minute. Let's get that show started.
Waking up to success, now we getting it started. This is the real grind. Everything you've been wanting, building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions, no stopping. While we sip on gourmet coffee, the real grind. This is the real grind. Let's go.
He's a broker specialized in the DFW market. He has facilitated over 950 million transactions and earned multiple sales awards. Part of Silva and Bradley Multifamily. He's a husband and a father and a friend of the multifamily empire. Welcome to the stage, Fort Bradley. Let's go, my man.
Hey, man.
Let's go, man. You're here, my brother. Thank you so much for coming here, man. I appreciate you. We know each other like for about, what, 4 years, something?
It's like
5?
7 or 8, man. It's been a long time now, I think.
It has actually, yes. Since the old days with Brad, that's right. But, Ford and Al Silva run the brokerage there. We bought a couple of deals from them. They're being amazing. But today, dude, it's going to be about you. But let me tell you, you're actually upset and disappointed when I met you and you're not driving a Ford. What's up with that?
It's I do prefer to drive an American car, but my last 2 cars have been Japanese and German, so I'm all screwed up. I can't. Maybe I'll be in an F-250 soon. Hopefully.
Hey, let's go, man. Ford, talk a little bit about you, man, your beginnings, where you come from, where'd you grow up or go to school, a little bit about you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all for having me. I'm excited to be here and love working with you guys, love hanging out with you guys, probably a little bit more even, right? So this is a fun day for me. And so I grew up in Dallas, Texas, here in the Metroplex, and grew up, went to high school in Dallas, went to Texas Tech for college, and luckily there I met my wife. We both graduated in 2013 and moved back to Fort Worth since she's from Fort Worth. It's a very insulated market, if you will.
Market.
Yeah, so we live a couple blocks away from her parents, but that's how I got started. Coming out of college, I was looking for a couple jobs in different areas, but it was certainly going to be sales jobs with the GPA I had. So Marcus Millichap said they wouldn't pay me anything, but they'd give me an opportunity to make phone calls and get in front of clients and learn from a guy named Al Silva. And 11 years later, I couldn't be happier.
That's pretty cool, man. That's awesome. I remember we looking in the deal. That's what the first deal the property that we're pursuing to buy was right behind Love Field. Remember? There was a 60-something unit property there. What
was it? The in-place deal?
I don't remember the name of the deal, but it's right behind the airport. It
was the Lake Ridge.
Yeah,
townhomes.
By Northwest Highway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I know exactly. Yeah, I know that was a good property.
That was a good property, man. I love that location. Unfortunately, we weren't awarded the deal. Thanks.
Sorry, we got you another 3, man.
I know.
And hopefully another 3 this year.
4,
next year.
4 actually.
It's 4 now. Okay, 4, even 4. Better. So it's sometimes we got to get to know you.
I know exactly. And that's funny because you got to have that uncomfortable conversation, right? Because I tell you also, when a lot of our investors, we have events here all the time, and we talk about how many hours you put into to underwrite a deal, to make all the diligence, to put an offer even, right? I'm talking, we even did estimated, it'll be like probably 40 to 50 hours a week.
Sure.
Of underwriting and everything else. And it's pretty disappointing we didn't know what we're going to do. Obviously, you guys don't have control. The seller is going to choose the best. And I know you guys do a great, fair job there. But it's pretty frustrating when I get it. So how does it feel to get that phone call, man?
To
to the ones that didn't award the deal.
The Grim Reaper days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what
That's
you
what we
call
call them. It's like the least fun ever. I mean, because the best part about this business is the relationships you create with people. And of course, there are some people I don't know very well, and it's not their offer was low and it's an easy phone call. But
Yeah.
you're exactly right. People put a ton of time and effort into these things, and so do we. And there can only be one winner ultimately. And it is funny how it's changed a little bit, where we used to have to make 20 Grim Reaper calls to people, and
that's
now,
why probably you get the best and final shorter list, so it's less people to call.
Yeah, exactly. But the market was so competitive. There's so much activity that there'd be 10 people within a small spread of each other, and they're all they have similar terms, they have similar resumes, they can get the capital, they can get the financing, and it's hard to tell. It's hard to cut those percentages down really small and not give people the opportunity. And at the end of the day, we're working for our client, and the more people that are
100%.
Working on the deal, the better for them.
Yeah.
So
100%. And I know that being a broker is not probably something that people are like, man, when they're a kid, like, I want to be a broker, right?
Yeah.
So what was something when you were growing up that you wanted to be?
When I was growing up, I really wanted to be like a fighter pilot.
Really?
Something like that. It just, I was always into military stuff or planes. I probably watched Top Gun at too
Top
young of
Gun
an
so
age
many
or something,
times.
and I was probably too tall to do that, and never really materialized too much. But that was what I wanted to do when I was a kid. And then coming out of college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and I had, like I said, I had job interviews at multiple places. I had one for Granger Tools out in Midland, Texas, selling tools to oil and gas companies, and and then but I found this opportunity with Al and Marcus Millichap, and it's kind of a funny story, but my buddy had an interview in Dallas, and my interview was in Fort Worth, and so we drove from Lubbock on like a Thursday afternoon, and we stopped at the Barnes and Nobles, and I bought a yellow book for Dummies, commercial real estate investing for dummies, and just read it cover to cover. On the way to my interview, I got dropped off, and they're like, "Hey,
I'm very curious. What did that book talk about, dude? Probably just the terminology, I would assume. At least
a lot
that.
of terminology. They were like, nice to meet you. I was like, cap rate. Yeah, it was like, I didn't know what a cap rate was before that morning, right? Yeah, and any of this stuff. But the one thing I remember, this is how it was for dummies, was one of the top 10 tips they had was bringing a cell phone to visit the property so you could take pictures of the property to refer back later. I was like, what? That's called common sense. Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but it was just it was basically an encyclopedia or a dictionary.
Yeah,
but
I think just now I know you have people that work with you guys and people that you guys hire and stuff. And for me, we're in a process of hiring right now a very big player to our organization. And one of the things that I don't read resumes, my team does, but when I like to look at a face to face, so when you find somebody, man, that just have that drive in them, it's very easy to pick up.
No, totally. And it's funny, the brokerage world is such a competitive airspace.
It is.
And the success rate's probably around 10%.
Really?
And yeah.
For a new broker?
Correct, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And maybe not, I don't know exactly in the past few years, but I certainly know it's about what I perceive over the last 10, 11 years working at Marcus Millichap. But I started the same day as another fella from TCU. We were the same age, just both graduated high school or college. And it was definitely, like a horse race or something. You see each other in the eyes, you want to beat the other one, and it definitely bred that competitive atmosphere.
Right, sure. Do you see a lot of people that came and go in this industry that you saw they started is no longer in the industry?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. There's a lot of people. Even one of my best friends from college, he was living in Houston. I convinced him to move up, get a job with the self-storage group that does excellent work in our office, and he was legitimately one of my best friends. And he worked there for 2 years. He got some skins on the wall. He was doing really well, but sometimes it's really hard to see the success or the green pasture that's 10 feet away, but it feels like 1,000, right? And that's probably comparable to now in some ways, right? But he quit, and then the guys on the self-storage team picked up like 4 listings that were leads from him. And it reminds me of a time that probably Al Silva's done a ton of great things for me, but probably the best thing Al ever did for me was about 2 years in, I was doing all the right things, like making the phone calls, getting the meetings, getting the proposals, and following the Marcus Millichap training, right? And I just, we weren't having success, right? We were losing deals or sellers weren't selling, and it'd been 6 months, and I'd done, a ton of BOVs, and I was like, Al, I'm basically out of money. I kind of want to move back to Dallas. All my friends are there. My lease is coming due. And he was like, gets on his computer. He doesn't say anything. I was like, he pulls
That's
up.
typical Al.
I know, right? He pulls up my pipeline, and he looks at it and he goes, He goes, man, if you leave, I'll make a lot of money that should have been yours. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go, crying my Cheerios for about 30 minutes, and I'll be back to work, all right? Like, but it's a great lesson, right? Like, sometimes things don't go your way, and you got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and get back to it. And that's something I've thought about in this market when our transactions are down 70-80%, from where we were. And what else are you going to do? You going to go home and cry, or come in and work?
That's what I was going to ask, because from the time that you started through now, this is probably your slowest time, right? I would say, because the last couple of years, you guys probably did very well on the transactional side, and this year, or I was assumed, like you said, is 80% down. Is
totally. No, it is. I mean, I got fortunate to come in when I did in 2013, right? It's been a lot of sunshine and rainbows, during my business, right? Career. But luckily, I think I got to stay around long enough to make those relationships and understand how it works, regardless of what interest rates are.
Right.
Right. And it feels, this market feels very similar to, the first 3-4 years when I started. And so it's been nostalgic in a way to remember, some of those things, and remember how you dealt with some of those clients and lessons you learned as well.
That's great, dude. And I love to talk about those, in a little bit. But first, we're going to try some good coffee, man. And guess what time it is?
Coffee time?
It's coffee time. Let's go. Today's a very special day. A lot of people have been asking us every show, and Neander, when are you guys going to launch your own coffee? Look, after we started the show and we're going through several events, people are actually bringing us different coffee. We have a subscription of coffee, and all we do here is try new coffee. And a lot of people been asking, when are you guys going to do it? So today we have a special launch. A special launch. Italo is actually correcting my English, but you're going to see here firsthand. F Monday. Let's go.
Welcome to the corporate world, a place you go to every day against your will, with endless meetings. And worst of all, shitty coffee. Introducing F Monday, a specialty coffee for those who want to kickstart the week with a better taste. A reminder to do your own thing or go after what's brewing in your head. Unless you're thinking of reading tarot cards for dogs or other dumb ideas like that. For everyone else, F Monday, your daily dose of attitude.
What do you think about this?
I love this commercial. Are y'all starting an ad firm too?
We are going now. We have such an amazing team, man. And this is true. Like, a lot of people be asking. And for us, it's not about the coffee, but the coffee with the purpose, right? So after we start Multifamily Empire, we try to empower a lot of people to start investing, corporate people doing their own business. So this is literally for entrepreneurs, because what's the worst day of the week? It's a Monday. So it can be out of a funk Monday, or if you will, whatever you want. So, but it's a good story behind the coffee.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, we've drank coffee before in multiple occasions, and all that coffee that you drink that is an amazing coffee, that is probably a small farm behind it. Right. Those are the people that usually get eaten now by like the big names, So for us, as we appreciate coffee that much, we're like, why don't we try to give these people like a little space on the spotlight, or just give them a little push to where people can see them, can actually enjoy their product. So if you at home want to check out fmonday.com, that's where you're gonna find amazing coffee. We're always getting coffee from small local farms to help them out. So if the coffee is there, you can be sure that we put it to the test. It's great coffee. Snatch it, because it's always gonna be limited time. Because this type of coffee, they come like the coffee that you had last year. You go to the same farm, it's not the same coffee anymore, because it changes temperature and all that stuff. So that's the beauty of it. So fmonday.com, check it out.
But one of the good things that Ford has been to our office multiple times,
Yeah.
and he loves to drink the coffee.
Yeah.
He had some. So we had people here in the show that does not like coffee, never actually had a sip of coffee in his entire life. And, when people enjoy coffee, it's just so much more enjoyable. So let's go ahead and
Absolutely.
try it out.
I never had a cup of coffee until I was like 23. I started at Marcus Millichap, and a couple months in, someone had to like teach me how to make or drink coffee.
They saw
And
you
now-
dragging throughout the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah,
like,
just for the record, he got a shot at espresso right before the show, so he's
Yeah.
fired
So
up.
when you see a commercial like that, do you kind of see yourself back then, like when you're at the office drinking like
Yeah, just Folgers, community.
Folgers.
Yeah, two tablespoons of vanilla creamer or something. Trying
kinda
to get
camouflage, yeah.
6 sugars. Yeah.
All right, guys, let's sip on it.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
F Monday.
F
Monday.
Monday.
Great domain name too.
Oh, man,
Wow.
this is great.
This is different than the one that you had before.
Yeah, there's no bite in this. There's
Not at all. This is
really
great.
smooth. I almost feel like I'm drinking a tea. I don't, that
Yeah.
might be a weird thing to say. I'm not.
No, it
I know
is. It
yeah,
is 100%. Yeah.
Wow. I
But
really
this
like
is this is really, a steak. It's well cooked. When there's like Folgers or something black coffee, dude, it's like you eating a very very well done
Charred steak.
steak,
Right.
like charcoal, pretty much.
Yeah, this is really good.
You know,
You know
so
another
how it's
thing that's
supposed to be.
crazy too. I think this is the first time that you drink coffee with us that you don't drink straight out like when I'm just pouring it. So the temperature is below like hot now. It's like
Kids
warm.
tent from Starbucks.
Yeah. Kids tent. See, I don't have kids. I would never know that there's such a thing as kids
Oh, it's
tent.
for me, unfortunately.
Right on, right on. But that's the flavor of the coffee. Like you told, there's no bite.
Right.
So the colder it gets, the better it gets.
is really
But
good.
this one here is actually, like I said, from small local farms. Neander, I'm gonna let you talk the story about this one that doesn't even have a label on it yet.
It doesn't. You know why? Because they're just starting, man. It's a couple, my cousin from Brazil, they sold everything in the city, and we have a coffee farm, and they bought a coffee farm as well there because they wanted to grow coffee. So they are starting their new brand and called Café Duplo because they have twins. So it's double coffee. They have two little babies, twins. And I want to shout out to Chrissy and Giovanni, dear cousins of mine. Congratulations. This is actually a very good coffee, man. This guy really mastered his craft. And this is very fruity forward. It is a very light coffee. This is like a Cayman's of coffee.
If you
Well done.
Yeah, if you sip on it and let it sit on your mouth for a little bit before you drink it, you're gonna see how it opens up. It's insane.
All right. Talk to you in 12 seconds.
Pega a bolsinha. And you're not going home empty-handed today. If you wanna check it out. So little
Do I get
something, something, so we
I don't know
can.
if I'm
It's going to be jacked up.
I don't know if I'll look as good as Itzla in this thing, but wow. All right, F Monday.
There you go.
Monday, man.
Thank
Let's
you,
go.
guys.
Awesome.
And this is perfect because my favorite coffee cup just broke like a week ago. So
There you go,
need to
man.
replace
Let's
it.
go.
Thank
and
you, guys.
whenever the F Monday mugs come out, I'll hook you up with one.
Thank you.
Make some people at the office jealous.
I love this. I love
Right
this
on.
shirt. I can't wait for people to ask me about it.
Okay.
Thank you so
I
much,
need to
dude.
show
I appreciate
well,
it.
Everyone can see it on your pecs there. Very nice.
Nice. Ford, I want to hear more about your story, man. We always chat, but I don't think I haven't really heard your story, like your beginnings and all that stuff. And so far, very inspiring, man. Thank you for having a cup of coffee with me once again. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother. I'll talk to you guys soon. fmonday.com. Don't miss out. Go check it out.
Let's go. You've been on this industry for what? How many years now?
Yeah, 11 years.
11 years. And what is the biggest difference that you see then and now? Because the 11 years was, 2013?
Right.
2000.
I think, the sophistication has changed a lot of, A, the ownership groups, but, B, part of that is just, the access to information, right? All this, rent technology, software that we have now. And, the market's just so much more efficient than it
Yeah.
was when I started. I could get away with a few more fibs, in 2014. I was just kidding. But it really is an efficient market. And then, I think too, it's the amount of competition in it has changed a lot. Even still today with, large interest rates and, slow down in the market and people are nervous, there's still we're getting more activity today than we did on deals that we'd bring out in 2013, right? So those are probably the two biggest things, right? But the sophistication has really, really changed how people view deals, underwrite
Right.
deals, and things like that.
Right, and definitely is a totally different under a price point. It's just big deal. Interest rates different. Everything's different, man. Even the way you market the properties nowadays, things that you do in the property,
Right. I know. I was looking at like an old marketing package that we'd had from 8 years ago, and I thought it was from the '80s the way it looked. It was like the rents were like $400, and
Oh my God,
the
dude,
page
that's
was
crazy.
grainy. And I was like, God, I can't believe we used to operate this way. Now we're paying for pictures and video tours, and it's beautiful. And of course the properties we're working on are bigger and nicer looking too. So that does help a little bit, but it's definitely a little different.
And it's cool that we know Al too, and we actually Al was being here in the show, and it's something I always compliment Al, but you as well, man. How professional you guys are. The binders, that every aspect of what you guys do, the responses, the emails, that's amazing, man. Congratulations. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. That's I definitely I probably picked up a lot of that from Al, but that's something that's just the easiest thing to do is send a good follow-up email, right? Like, someone you give somebody a call, you have a good conversation for 10 minutes, and then 20,000 other things happen to them that day. You call them back 3 weeks later,
Yeah.
7 other people have called them, and it's just it's not the same. But if you send a really good couple follow-up emails, that's where the traction really comes in with those relationships and being professional in that way. And it's so easy to do, but sometimes it's hard.
Right.
It's
No,
hard
for some people it might be hard or not hard, but for perspective from a person that is trying to do business with it, for sure it stands out.
Right.
And definitely, you said earlier, there's a lot of competition. I believe that today is just people are longing, man, for a good customer service, just to be heard, to be put attention to it, and just by doing that as a principle, it's already halfway there.
Totally. And it's reciprocal, right? Like if I'd always take a quick no over a slow maybe, right? And same thing, like we show a deal to people, you talk through it, then you follow up and you never hear back, and you're like, all right, can't wait to tell you about the next ones, right? So it really goes both ways, and I think that's I was thinking about some of the notes I was making last night, and that is one of the biggest things I've learned over time, right? Is that it's not when you start out, you think that they're doing you a favor by listing their property with you. Like you don't put yourself in their shoes. You're just kind of like, what can you
Right.
do for me in that
Yeah.
sense, right? Of course, you're competing on the deal, but I've really learned that it's a team sport, and not just brokers and principal, everybody, right?
Yeah.
Title, whoever, lenders, whoever else, right?
The whole
Insurance,
team
the
there, yeah,
whole
for sure.
team, right? And so, kind of viewing yourself as part of the team allows you to put yourself in the client's shoes more, and then helps you give better advice and be a better broker. And it's just funny how it just takes, you can't, and maybe someone has that innately, but I doubt it, right? And I think it's just something that takes experience, right? But it's not rocket science. It's just perspective and experience.
Being accountable, and all the things we're talking about. Tells us something. Piece of devices for people that are trying to get deals now, because there's a lot of, on this time of this recording, obviously times, but as a broker, you had to also So what is your advice you give for people that want to get in deals underwriting? Anything that you've seen out there, a trend or anything?
One of the biggest things I've seen, and I think it just comes from, in this market, I think it's just our world too, but there's so much happening. Like I said, 20,000 things will happen to the guy I talked to, by the end of that day. But I think, people just, they'll just kind of go through the motions.
Yeah.
On underwriting a deal, and then they're like, oh, it didn't hit my 17 IRR. See you later. And it's like, well, there's a lot to these deals, right? These deals are organisms at the end of the day, right? Like they're very flexible, right? These leases are for a year, right? And there's a lot that can change on these things in a short amount of time. It's not a 10-year industrial lease.
Yeah.
So there's always so much to the story, good or bad, right? It may work for you, may work against you, but I think really understand the story. Call the broker, ask good questions, and one of the big things too is just read the documents before you call. I can't tell you how many we've been putting prices on deals. Everyone's doing to be determined by market.
Yeah.
We've gone back to putting prices on our deals. We'll send out an e-blast and I'll receive 200 emails. They're like, what's the guidance? I'm like, it literally says it 6 places in the email and in the OM. And did you spend 3 minutes on it? It's just, learn a little bit about the deal yourself. And, all these, everyone writes investment overviews and kind of information on the deal. And, at least for us, like I know Al, Dylan, and I spend a lot of time writing those investment overviews, and that's our words. It's not, pulled out of Chat GPT or something. And so,
right. Well, that's a great point. Yeah.
And that's how we view the deal, the story, and the pitch, and it's a good basis to go off of. So
your guys' OM is that something that you guys designed it by yourselves, or is it different from others you've seen it? I know your OMs is always a lot of details, man. If somebody reads through the entire thing, the half underwriting is right there, because you guys do your own underwriting, you do a lot of due diligence before you even list the deals. So I think, this is something that you guys, is that your secret sauce, you say?
Yeah, maybe not. I don't want to tell the whole world, but that's something that we feel very strongly about. Is we don't have an analyst on our team, and there's some days at 7:00 at night I'm like, oh, I wish I had an analyst right now. But the whole concept is one of the things that Al said to me early on, and now the fees are luckily larger in this, but he's like, what would you do for $100,000? Like someone's willing to pay you $100,000 to sell your deal. What are you willing to do for it? And it's like, well, I'm willing to spend 45 minutes underwriting and make sure I understand the numbers. And when I go into the BOV pitch or I have it listed and I'm doing tours, I'll remember, well, the R&M was, $420 a door, right? Or whatever it is, right? And I know those numbers, and I know the inside and outside of the deal, and I can just sell it better and perform better for our clients and have better results.
Yeah.
And that's just something, an analyst isn't going to know everything that I know about the deal or how things would work or what's going on in the neighborhood, right? You can look at data, but you got to mix data with what you feel and see on the street.
Yeah, now
too.
boots on the ground. Like you guys transact a lot of deals, and you get to see a lot of different numbers and perspectives, what's being working around. And you guys helped out, or 1 or 2 properties that were looking, or she was selling or not. You guys came here, and there's such a great advice, man, from experience. Data, of course, we look at a lot of data together. Everybody can, but that extra thing of it comes from experience. It's very amazing.
Totally. And I always urge people to let us do a BOV if you have any questions. Like we're not hard selling people, like no, just sell it. Like Al's been doing this for 20 years. I don't know how long it was, maybe probably another 20 years. I'd love to do it for another 20 years. Like we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. So we can't do it like that. And like, you have to take it seriously. Ultimately, you are advisors, and you're in this for the long run, right? And so, being able to sit down with clients and be on the same page like that and help them solve problems. But I do urge people to call, because you never know. You might be having a problem, and I've talked to 3 people within a mile that either had a similar problem and fixed it, or don't because of this and why. And you never know if like we'll have a rent roll, and I don't share other people's information per se, but I can be like, hey, look, this is going on over here. You're so far behind, like you have room or whatever, right? And so there's so much information that we have access to that doesn't come from, apartments.com or CoStar, right? It comes from me talking to you and talking to the next guy and talking to the next guy. And then there's
truly
a story.
Behind the scenes data, right? Behind the curtains. Because, social media, man, everybody, talks a big game, how great their deals are, but the numbers are there. And seeing those real data, that's what is the key point. For anything you mentioned, you suck this, but there's a lot of funny stuff that the brokers make fun about when property tours, people that don't read OMs, people just there kicking tires. You guys should write a book, like what not to do in a property tour.
That'd be a
Can
good
you share
movie,
a few
maybe.
funny stories? You don't need to name names, but you can just share a funny story that comes to your mind.
It was my first, or I guess it was my second listing, but it was like the first BOV I ever got, and then I got another listing. But it was a really tough property out in in East Dallas, and I'm like 22, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, like ready to get out there, and there's spotters and all sorts of crime. And this lady from California had owned it, and she was just so up a creek, no money, right? It was just a tough property. And I was just used to doing like 1 or 2 people on property tours or something like that. And this group shows up and they have 9 people. And I don't know how
For
to
a property tour?
Yeah, and I don't know how to manage a 9-person property. You know what I mean? Like that. There's so many. Everyone's going different directions, and it stressed me out. And there was like a kind of like a buy side broker, like a teammate broker, and he was like, hey, the Torrentian, sorry. It's like, hey, I've got a little bit of a flat tire. Like I think I ran over a nail or something. And I just really need to get this taken care of. Like, it's a bad neighborhood, and I don't want. And I'm like, thanks for telling your clients it's a bad neighborhood 30 seconds in the tour and just leaving me with these 8 other people to lead around this property. So I just remember that, and it was like kind of a drinking through the fire, baptism by fire, if you will, trying to corral people and use your voice to get them in and keep it going,
right,
and everything. But I just remember that was funny. I was like, this is such a waste of time. Like, you just told them it was a horrible area.
Yeah, I know. I was like, shit, man, you didn't say that. That's funny. Some of the property tours in some properties is like, I think the worst for me is when you're doing due diligence. On due diligence day, they had to go every single apartment. I hate that, man. I really don't like it. That's why we pay people to do it, because I don't like to get in people's houses. I just don't. Even today, sometimes I have to do whatever. I don't like to go inside of the places. And you see all kinds of shit, man. We saw one time a guy had a stripper pole, and he had a Facebook. He was having as a cabaret. Like, he was literally had a Facebook page.
On Google Maps,
so go back a cabaret in the property, man. And I was like, holy cow, dude. Obviously we had to. No, but he did some crazy stuff.
Yeah, totally. I remember one of my first deals. It was actually it was the first listing I got after Al told me, oh, if you quit, I'm gonna make a lot of money. It should have been yours. And then like 2 days later, of course, I got a listing. And then because he's normally right. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's great. And we walk into this unit. It's like, we get in our contract, and the buyer's in and out. He's tough to deal with, and it's like, we really got to get this thing sold. And I walk into the unit like ahead of him, and there's just a crack pipe like sitting on the table. But this place is like immaculately clean. Like, the guy's just sitting there like watching TV, and I was like, dude. And he goes, oh, my bad, man. He like hides it, and then the buyer walks in. He's like, what a nice unit. I was like, great, yeah. have a good rest of your day, man.
That's usually the troublemakers, man. Their place looks clean. I drove it clean from my.
It was immaculate. It was immaculate.
It's crazy. Yeah. Well, maybe he had the money to afford a housekeeper or something.
No, he had a lot of energy.
I'm sure. Man, that's cool. I like those stories, man. We can go days and days. Stories. It's just so fun, dude. What is something not to do when you come into a property tour for a beginner? Our friend Dante, he told me not to take pictures. That's what he said. He's like, this is not time for you to take pictures. You talk with the broker.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably fair. I don't mind if people snap a couple photos, right? If it's like, if we got to wait 10 minutes for you to go walk around and take pictures and look at everything, that's always a little annoying. But, it's got to be a give and take, because it's those people's time. Like, you're asking them to invest $7 million.
Yeah.
And really, like, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. But sometimes, like, these people spend an hour at the property before they make an offer. Yeah, I'm sure they drive through other times and have other people go out there, but, it's a lot.
It is.
It's a big commitment. So you got to be cognizant of that and flexible. But it really just goes back to knowing what you're talking about. Like, I hate when, and it doesn't have to be every detail, right? You're like, how many units are upgraded? That's no problem, right? But when it's like, what vintage? What is it? And you're like, come on, man.
What kind of roof is this?
Yeah,
is everything?
You couldn't have taken 10 minutes before you left to do that. So I think that's the biggest thing. And then there's something else. Some people do sometimes where they'll ask questions and then they think they know more than everyone, which is fine, right? But then they just answer their own question the way they wanted it or didn't want it, right? But they don't actually get the feedback from me or the property manager or something, and you're just kind of like, what are we doing here? Yeah.
I know. And so, Ford, talk to me about what is the future for you guys, how you guys see the market coming in for the next year or so, the next 4 years. What are you guys seeing out there as far as transactions?
As far as our team, it's Al, myself, Dylan, and then Brenna Lindsay is our marketing coordinator, and makes everything look pretty, and 10,000 other things that are invaluable. But for us, we feel like we've positioned ourselves well with our clients and our brand to, hopefully pick up, and I think we pride ourselves on being able to solve problems maybe better than the average bear. And since we don't have 10 or 15 people on our brokerage team, we've got to kind of be more quality focused than quantity focused.
Right.
And so,
Which definitely stands out that way, by the way.
Sure, no, thank you. And so, when we get our hands on on a project, we're focused on that project. And so I think now when people are having tough decisions to make and it's a choppy environment, I think that's where we shine on being able to give good advice, give good feedback. And at the end of the day, not all the answers are fun, but our goal is to lay out the 3, 4, 5 options that you have, and you make the best choice for you and your investors, right? So that for our team, we hope to continue to pick up market share. And there was a point last year where there had only been 8 transactions total in all of Texas that were over 100 units and 60s vintage that had closed in all of Texas, and 3 of them were from our team. I was like, no, that's good market share.
That is absolutely.
So,
it's all about conversion rates, right? It was like
right, and no, it's exactly, and something that I think we're really proud of. This is a bit of a non sequitur, but we're really proud of is over the past 2 years, while the market pricing's dropped in some cases 40% for people, right? Our list to close price ratio is still 101.2% over the last 2 years. So
wow.
We feel like we know where the market is
Yeah.
on that, right? So that's something else. But for the market itself, I mean, I certainly don't want to be negative, and I don't mean to be. I think even this week when we saw rates drop down to the Treasury drop down to 3.8, it was a hectic week in a good way, and I think it moves some people. We'll see if it has staying power. It's got to have staying power to really move people up. But I got phone calls from people I hadn't talked to in 2 years, right? Or hadn't reached out in 2 years, right? And so it would definitely start generating some interest. So I'm not positive that it changes pricing today, but I think
Sure.
we're going to get more activity. And for our team, here recently, we've seen that we've had inventory pick up, right? Like we've got $85 million in listings we brought out in the last 2 weeks. So it's starting to build up. There's still deals that are going to have problems, and some lenders extend, some don't. Some people can buy the rate cap, some can't. Some people can refi, some can't. And it's just going to be. I don't think there's going to be some. Oh man, these 3 weeks there 20 deals came on the market that were had to sell. I don't think that's happening, but there are going to be these deals that churn out over the next year or two. So I think we'll start if rates come down and hang in the 3s or the 3s, right? We're gonna feel that activity, and I think we'll get to a bit of a normalized market while still having some some people have some pain. And
right, 100%. And that's a great. We're looking to to see if we get something in contract for the next couple months, man. We actively looking now, and I talking to a bunch of other operators, and they're all looking too. Definitely opportunities out there for buying and for sale too.
Yeah.
Interest rate can come down. Came down a little bit, right? Past couple of weeks.
Right. It really did, and we had. It's for like a day and a half, so we'll see if hopefully it sticks. Treasury's back up a little bit, but we saw rates on deals that we have on the market at 4.98, interest rate all in, right, or 4.92. So we saw sub 5% interest rates for a couple of days, and it's not far away, right, from being kind of a mainstay. So I think that'll start helping, and I think
encouraging a little bit.
Exactly, encouraging a little bit, and I think once people can't make 5% in the CD as well, that'll help syndicator money get back out. And I think for the last the first 18 months since call it April of 22, there was money on the sidelines, but not really. It was in CD collecting 5% or whatever, and people weren't actively really looking to deploy it that much unless there's a crazy opportunity, which very few ended up coming. But I do think that there's some pent up demand and that money is fully back on the sidelines, like looking to get back in over the next year plus, right? So it does feel a little healthier for the transaction market.
Yeah.
Overall.
Very cool. And we talked about all this effort that goes in for the buyer side, but now how many hours you guys put in to list a deal average? It must be a bunch.
Just to get it to market.
Yeah.
Or like
for the probably BOV, and then the person will say, okay, let's go, and then all the way there's gonna be like.
I couldn't even tell. I mean, it's just between me, Al, Brenna, and Dylan, how much stuff we all have to do. We all have our roles on what we do to get the property together. I know, like, if I've got a listing, that's coming through me, my client that I'm running point on the deal, I'll probably spend 10, 15 hours over a week and a half, 2 weeks trying to get it ready to come to market. Brenna spends probably more time than that, right? And some of that stuff I do at night, right? It's easy, like, you kind of like I call it like deal day, and like the same day I go do like a setup tour, I'll just come back and I'll finalize the underwriting, I'll do the investment overview, do the highlights, like do the underwriting notes, and just encapsulate everything. So
if you're watching out there, guys, read that OM thoroughly, the
we
whole
work hard on
entire
this.
thing, and your conversation is gonna be a lot smoother with the brokers. For sure, man. Man, thank you so much for being here, dude. I want to ask a couple questions now, brother. This is the Spilling the Beans with Ford Brelly. Let's go. Red Raiders or Longhorns?
Red Raiders.
Let's go.
What's up?
Loud neighbors or noisy neighbors?
What? Loud or noisy?
Yeah, isn't the same thing?
Yeah, I feel like it's the same thing. I just like neighbors that leave their dog out all day. Nosy. Oh, I'll take a nosy neighbor. I can be friends with anybody. Come over. We'll hang.
All right, nosy neighbors. That was the question. Sorry, we had a misspelling here on my card.
Spelling the beans.
Spelling. Oh shit! I was like, it's in the same thing exactly. So, be the fastest person or the smartest person?
I'll say fastest person just because it's during the Olympics. We got to have fun with that. But
There you
overall,
go.
I'd probably say the smartest person.
Okay, a cold beer or a Louis XIII cowboy?
Just Makers on the rocks, man. Give me some whiskey.
Hey. Look like you haven't showered or smell like you haven't showered?
Probably look. It's like, I can't see myself all the time, but I can definitely smell myself, and it's not great.
Country boy or city boy?
I mean, I'm definitely a city slicker now, but I think growing up, I was definitely wanted to be a country boy, right? Like every other Texas kid.
All right. If you had to choose one to eat for the rest of your life, or if you had to pick one to eat for the rest of your life, Texas barbecue or Tex-Mex?
Tex-Mex.
Check.
Yeah.
Friday nights or Sunday morning?
I like Sunday mornings, man. Nothing like getting up early on a Sunday morning and sitting outside and having a coffee. Maybe I need to move closer to Italo so we can have coffee together. But yeah, I do like that kind of that quiet time. The mornings are where I do my best work, so I do like the mornings.
Yeah. Cash or card?
I mean, I wish I wasn't swiping my credit card everywhere and paid with cash, but I'm a card guy, ultimately.
That's a forward term, man. Go to Joe T's, got to use cash. And then last but not least, Ford or Chevy?
I'm going to go Ford. Yeah, I'm gonna go Ford.
Let's go. This is Spilling the Beans with Ford. Ford, thanks so much for being here, man. A lot of respect, a lot of respect is the word actually, and for you guys, like what you guys do, appreciation and admire you, and you and Al do an amazing job. Thank you for the help. Thank you for being a partner. And if you've been doing this for a long time, and one thing that you said earlier about that, some people quit right before they get to the action, right? So if you had to give an advice, what would you have to say? Look at camera 3.
I mean, seek help, right? It's a team sport, right? Like you don't have to do it on your own. And if you feel like you're struggling, it's okay to talk to people, right? Just doesn't mean cry your heart out, but other people have gone through what you've gone through, right? I mean, if you're my age, you've never been through a real downturn. Talk to the people who have. What happened last time? What does this look like? What does this mean? Right? I mean, use your resources ultimately, right? Whether it's you're thinking about quitting or you're trying to do better on X or improve Y, seek help, man. That's what this business is about, and I wouldn't forget it.
That's great. I love that. People nowadays, they have, you said it too, that a lot of sophisticated investors, but what is that information coming from, right? The mentors, the mentorship, and I feel like you and I'll provide that mentorship to your clients, and that's invaluable. That's really cool.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. And I want to just kind of being here this afternoon, give you guys kudos on just how entrepreneurial you are. I mean, and it's cool to see how much, this company's grown, you guys have grown, right? And, you've got so many facets of your business. And I think, in a time like this when it's hard to, go out there and compete in the market or make money in the market's changing, and you said, hey, like, I'm going to become an operator. Like, and that's important. That's what people have to do now. And that's old school. And guess what? Things have been changing. We're going back to old school. Yeah. Right. And, so for you guys, I mean, just how many facets you have that you've got. I mean, this commercial was legit, dude. Like, was that on NBC, right? And then and the coffee and just so many other things I probably don't even know about. So it's very impressive from our end. And then working with you guys, you're always straight up with us and great to hang out with too. And
let's go.
That never hurts. And one of my favorite things, I'm a little sad you didn't invite me to it, but when we closed our first deal together and you guys were out there having the Brazilian barbecue in front of the property, that's one of my favorite things. I loved it. And that's the kind of, culture and community that people need to be bringing to their properties, right? And to make a difference and set them apart. And, when there's 2,000 rooftops in a submarket, what are you going to do to set yourself apart? Yeah,
so, well, we thought we were, when we were doing the barbecue, we thought like, man, how ghetto this shit is, you know what I'm saying? But that's why we probably felt, but, now that you like it, we'd love to have you. It's a tradition of ours to do that. Well, but, to have the grilling, man, and we try to be as close to that community as possible. We just don't see numbers. We see people, and I think it closes the cycle. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Let's go, my brother.
And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching The Real Grind. Ford, thank you so much for being here on this great day that we're launching the F Monday. Go to fmonday.com. That's where you're going to be supporting a lot of local farmers, but bringing the best cup of coffee to you. So if you're looking for a great coffee, the coffees that we drink here, look no further. This is where you're going to be finding coffee, merch, all this great things going to be there. And again, watch us on YouTube, Facebook, your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Music, you name it, we're there. Give us a follow on Instagram. We're everywhere. And the goal is always the same. Help people out, support each other, empower each other, because that's our mission here at The Real Grind. I'll see you on the next episode. This is The Real Grind. Let's go.
Waking up to success. Now we're getting it started. This is The Real Grind. Everything you've been wanting, building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions, no stopping. While we sip on, go and make coffee. The Real Grind.